Well, today we want to speak to Dr. Hadi Mohammed Abdullah. He is a specialist surgeon, senior resident with the neurosurgery unit of the Gov't Teaching Hospital. But he's also with the Council of the Ghana College of Physicians and Surgeons. But he's here because he's one of the so-called people who had been deleted, said to be part of the ghost names. We know the president announced that just following a financial audit, some reconciliation that was undertaken, over 26,000 ghost names supposedly were deleted from the payroll of not only the Ministry of Finance but also the Accountant General's Department. But for all that, NAGRAT, that is the Association of Graduate Teachers, and NAT, they've been complaining that at least they believe 13,000 of those numbers belong to their membership. But well, this gentleman here, the medical doctor, is said to have found his name to be among those deleted. A good morning to you, and thanks for joining, my good friend. It's been a while. The last time I spoke to you was about 10 years ago, right?
About 12 years ago, yeah.
Now, how did you discover your name? That your name was part of supposedly the ghost names?
Yeah, Roland, that's even the most worrying part of it. I mean, no one informed me. I had no information from either the HR or from the controller, even though these institutions have our contact details, they have our emails, we fill forms, and they've actually been updating us of the payment of our salaries over the past few years. You get text messages and all that. So I was quite surprised that I heard it, some people talking about it, and then I decided to go and see my accountant to find out whether he's got any such name, and he said he would also check. Then I saw the names on social media that some doctors who were affected managed to get a list from the finance section of the Gov't Teaching Hospital that these are the names coming from the controller, and we were supposed to get our ID cards, that's the biometric card, and then go to the SNIT office and then go and sort it out. And for me, that's worrying. What it means is that there are so many people who have been affected who are unaware. And as a resident at the neurosurgery unit, I mean, everybody knows worldwide, neurosurgeons go to theater, you spend virtually all your day there. One surgery can take you sometimes more than 8-10 hours. People who you meet in the morning will come back and meet you in the evening, coming to do night, and you are still on the same patient. So for me, it was a rude shock and very sad because it happened on the very day that I was running a duty on a holiday, and about 4 of my team members, I mean a team made up of 6 people, if you have about 4 of them affected by the same mode. I mean, it's not because those people did not register. They had registered, they've been verified biometrically, their salaries have been coming. But an error from a state institution has been vested on them. Now they have to bear the brunt of what I'll call a fallacy. A fallacy because these people are working. One, I don't think that the country has saved enough money as we want to purport, or the president wanted to purport yesterday, on May Day. These are people who are working. These are people who went through the biometric registration. They've got their ID cards. They have pay slips to show that they've been receiving their salary. Someone working with the state or a state agency, inevitably, or I don't know what happened, in error, put just half of their SNIT numbers there. And I think that any human institution, I'm sorry to use this word, but I think common sense should tell us that, look, this is an error. And this is an error which is not coming from the individuals involved. For all of us, I'll later show you, for all of us, instead of maybe a 13-digit SNIT number, all of us have just 6 digit numbers. This is by coincidence that you have over 1,000 people who just submit half of their SNIT numbers, obviously it is an error which is either coming from a computerized system or it is coming from that agency which failed to capture those numbers properly. And it's quite instructive that for all of us, only 6 numbers were captured. And for me, that is worrying. It is very worrying because we all believed the president when he said that they were going to save us over 400 million, or is it 400,000 Ghana cedis?
443 million Ghana cedis.
I was happy that we're going to save this amount of money, only to realize that this was, excuse me to say, a joke.
Okay. Now, you're saying that you're not alone. Apparently, some members of your team, not only perhaps maybe your team, but those you know and relate to in the medical field.
No, even my team that I worked with during the weekend, my other colleague doctor was affected. So I was with him at the controller yesterday. He's also a specialist. My house officer, who they just started paying, he completed school not long ago. He got his salary mechanized just recently. These are house officers who have gone through the mill because they joined the system at the time that this biometric registration was ongoing.
So they were pioneers.
They were pioneers. He was affected. My nurse, my theater nurse, was affected. So just people around me, 4. And if you check the list from Colibri, the first half of the list which were submitted were those who had incomplete numbers. Who in this earth, with that level of education, will submit
an incomplete?
It will not happen.
Now, at the end of the day, there's a plausible reason that we can put some logic to this, that we can have some numbers of people who have been supposedly captured to be not biometrically verified or registered, and so could be affected and to be part of this 26,000. You have done the biometric verification.
Yes.
Then, did you do a recheck to find out whether the numbers you submitted were the right ones?
Oh yes.
Or were you given the opportunity?
No, I actually went to the SNIT office because I always go there to check my SNIT contribution just to make sure. And they assured me that everything was okay. In fact, when this happened again, I would say, but you've been here, we've told you that you've been verified. And I realized that this was same for everybody. And even some of those who are unaffected by this problem told me that they even did not cross-check. For some reason, I decided to cross-check. Based on my history and being a leader, I always felt that, look, you must always cross-check and always go to the necessary authorities and go and cross-check and make sure that everything was sorted out. And for me, that is the problem. For people who have been biometrically registered, have been validated or verified, and have their names deleted, it shows that this is not a foolproof system. There's something wrong with this. And I don't think that those who have their names, all those who have not been captured as part of those who had problems with their biometric registration, are actually those who have been verified. I think there may be a cabal out there who keep inserting ghost names. And this system that it's clearly been shown. It's clearly shown now from all this.
That we have innocent people who are working.
Yeah, who are working and are the ones who are affected. And rather, those who are not working continue to have their names there. Because I'm sure you started hearing of ghost names during the infancy. Yeah. And we keep hearing the same thing. Yeah. We've had doctors who were out of the public sector who wrote to the relevant authority that I'm leaving this institution. Please delete my name from the system.
And their names are still
they are still there. I've had colleagues who are in US for 6 years who still have the. It's just unfortunate that now they don't print the payslip. But when I used to go and check on my payslip in my department, I used to see people who have been out of this country. My colleagues I did house job with. So meaning for 10 years they've been out of this country. Still have their names there. So I think that we do things in a rush in this country. We don't cross-check the systems that we bring in this country. And when people complain, instead of going deep into the issues and trying to resolve it, we don't do that, and we affect innocent people. The implications of this: one, assuming that I have a bank loan or I have some form of agreement and I've issued
some liabilities with any institution.
I've issued like 4 checks, maybe for the year, maybe quarterly checks. And I've told whoever or my partner is that, look, by first week of every month or the 3rd month of the year, you can go and cash the check. He goes and there's no money in my account. It's a form of financial crime. It's a debt check. We have some doctors who have to pay their children's school fees. If the children are sacked school fees and they go to pay, there's a penalty to be paid. Who is going to bear that? And I think this continues to, or we continue to perpetuate this injustice because no state institution is taking on. And I felt that the proper thing to do in this case should have been to send a text message or to have called the institutions where those people work and tell them to come forward and verify. I think it is not fair. And I'm saddened because the president raised our hopes very high. I thought that we've been able to save this amount of money, only to realize that it was a fallacy because most of these people will go back
onto the list.
Yeah, even for those who they claim. I mean, I will later show you the list. Even for those they claim that have not been verified, have not registered. Some showed me their card. These are some of the people involved, you won't believe it, are heads of departments.
In your area?
Yes, senior consultant have been affected by this. And it's unbelievable. So come maybe end of May, all these people will go back. They will get their names verified. They will be back onto the system. The ghost names will continue to be there.
Did you go, after you found out that you were involved in this, and as well as those you were working with on a particular shift, or also being involved in this, did you find out from your administration whether we have a larger group of workers within the setup of Korle Bu who have been involved in this?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get that information like I told you, but I saw a list, and from what I know, there are over 250 staff of Korle Bu Teaching Hospital who are involved. I know Confanocha as at yesterday, about 265 people are involved.
Who have been affected?
Yeah, who have been affected. These are just 2 hospitals. So you look at the Ghana Health Service as a whole, you can imagine the number of people who have been affected by this. And these are people who are on the ground and they are working.
That brings to mind, because my wife is a nurse. She says she hasn't received it.
Yeah, and that's the danger, because no one, there's no communication. So unless you hear this on radio or some colleagues of you tell, oh, I've not received my salary, and then you go and cross-check only to be told that, oh, your name is on the list. And I don't see why the list has become something like a vote where people are keeping it to their chest. You know, and rather it's on social media now. So you defame me for, excuse me to say, for being a bad citizen, for not adhering to the call to go and register biometrically. Or you defame me, you say that I am not at post. And all these things actually have serious legal implications. And I thought that the finance minister or whoever was involved in this particular exercise should have really delved deep into it and consider the fact that this is a human institution. I mean, I don't believe these figures, and I'm very, very, very sad and disappointed that our head of state was deceived into believing this.
Well, first, the vice president announced this in an event we organized to mark 100 days. And this was reiterated by the president during the May Day celebrations. But knowing that this is the case, what actions do you intend taking then?
Well, there are several actions. I started one yesterday to get my name back on to the payroll. So I've gone to Senate. They've told me I don't have any problem with them. I went to my hospital. They told me they don't have any problem with me. I was at the Controller and Accountant General Department yesterday. I went to the Ministry of Health also. And that is where I realized that it was an error from the Ministry of Health. Okay. If any of my checks are bounced and my debtors take me on, I'll speak to my lawyers and maybe sue the government and sue all the institutions which are involved. And I think that is the best way to go. And I'll encourage all those who have been affected by this, who are genuinely working, should come and we can institute a class action against the state.
Well, I've known you as a student leader and thereafter starting your medical practice. And
well, I'm a runaway lawyer. I just spent some one semester at the law faculty, of course, but there were so many issues. I had an armed robbery attack bitterly when I was in Winnipeg. Okay. And I was then studying at the law faculty after my education. So, yeah, so I've always had that soft spot for law, and it's my intention that,
you'll pursue
I will
that
be able to go back.
Completely.
I mean, I believe in human rights issues. I feel that this world should be fair. People will tell you that there's no fairness in this world, but where I sit and what I see, I'm always faced with the injustice in the world and some decisions taken by people which goes a long way to affect people. You won't believe it, sometimes people need just 50 Ghana cedis to survive and they don't have it. I've walked on the streets of Kolebu. There are some of the private pharmacy around. They will tell you I sometimes come there to beg for drugs, not because I need those drugs, because I need drugs for those patients. And I feel that if you can make the world a better place for everybody, I wouldn't need to be doing some of these things.
And we have the president for NAGRA, that's the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Christian Adaipuku. Good morning to you, sir.
Morning.
Now, the last time we spoke, you said that you believed that a large chunk of your membership and even the whole fraternity of teachers in our country could be part of the so-called bloated figure of some 26,000. Do you still hold that view? And what will make you think so?
Well, consequent to that discussion, we had a meeting with Controller Accountant General Department and Ministry of Finance, and they released the data to us. Per that data, about 13,800 of the number penciled out for deletion happened to be teachers. So further discussions went on, and eventually some decisions were arrived at.
So following that, what decisions have you taken then, following that consultation you had with the Accountant General's Department?
Yes, upon a review, Controller Accountant General's Department and then SNIC, that is Social Security and National Insurance Trust, the bodies that were conducting the biometric registration, and then the body that is paying teachers, both agreed that they have committed a number of errors, and that a lot of the people who have been penciled out for deletion are actually not guilty of the offense they claim they have committed. That is for not registering. A lot of them have already registered. People showed their cards to them, showed that actually they have done the registration. Just that Controller Accountant General Department and SMED could not synchronize their data to be able to make provision for these teachers. So it was agreed that by the end of this week, that is Friday, they should be able to give Controller Accountant General the appropriate data so that all those people who had registered at the time that this directive came out should be permitted, should be given the opportunity to have their salaries on the 15th of this month. Another issue has to do with those who had not registered at all, and that's one to do. It was decided that permission to be given to all those people to register, and that by the close of day Tuesday, that's yesterday, all those people who had registered by then should be given the opportunity to also get their salaries by the 15th of May. So because of that, for us, NACRA, we sent messages to all our members encouraging them to register. And I'm sure that a lot of them have by now complied with the directive and have registered.
Well, if that was a situation, how come the president perhaps was not given the right information for him to go national? Before then, there was a vice president in the event organized by, of course, Joy News, marking 100 days of the Kufuor-led government to announce these large numbers.
Frankly, I was surprised to hear the president's statement on the May Day. Because as far as we are concerned, unless there is another number that government is looking at besides what Controller and Accountant General Department gave us. Because from the controller's data, 26,000 people penciled for deletion, out of which 13,800 were teachers. We have sent messages across, and I can tell you that by the time they finish this exercise, I am very sure that they will not get even 10% of them being good. And so for us, it was a surprise that government still stands by its position, even though it was clear during the discussion with the Minister of Finance that the figures may not necessarily be accurate, that those teachers are good. Actually, their teachers, some of them had already availed themselves for the registration, but SNAID and controller could not synchronize data. Apart from that, we also acknowledge there are a lot of people who are actually teachers, but have not been able to avail themselves for the registration, of which opportunity has been given for them to register. So we were surprised. Maybe the president has not been updated on the discussion that went on between the unions and the Ministry of Finance. Because we know that even after the discussion, the Ministry of Finance issued a statement. And if they were absolutely sure that all those people were good, then why did they issue a statement that they'll be paying people on the 15th of May? So clearly, there was something wrong with what happened that day. Maybe somebody did not update the president well on development that had happened 2 or 3 days before the May Day.
But on the side of the teachers, in terms of the psychological side, how frustrating has it been for them?
Indeed, it has been quite frustrating because as I speak, some people have received messages that they have been paid. Others have not received any message, a clear indication that they have not been paid as of now, and they have to wait until the 15th of this month to be paid. It throws their budget awry, and then and indeed it's quite frustrating. Because if you have budgeted for the end of the month to receive something and be able to execute certain projects and ambitions you have, and then all of a sudden, because of somebody's mistake, that is controller and SNAID mistake, you have to be denied your pay for the next 15 days. I think it's quite not right.
Now, how did your membership, or perhaps even your body, start getting calls from your members that these were some of the anomalies they were noticing?
In fact, when it happened, immediately the list was released to the unions. What we did was send messages across to all the people who they found in the list. And people were shocked because they were wielding their biometric cards. Some had other documents to show that they had gone to do the biometric registration. And yet, they found their name in the list that was cancelled out for deletion. So people were really angry, and they stormed the SNAID offices, tried to find answers, until eventually SNAID and controller had come out to admit that they had made mistakes.
So at the end of the day, we're talking large numbers, thousands of members of your association as well as NAT who are teachers. They are on the field and they are working. They've been affected by this. Is that the case?
Yes. That is the case. We are absolutely sure that the number of people that have been affected by this, a lot of them are already on the field working. They are teachers and they are not good at all.
as an experienced teacher, somebody who is an educationist, and also you work in other fields of endeavor, you do not perhaps deny the fact that we could be having ghost names who could be been teachers who have passed on, or perhaps people who have infiltrated your ranks and are said to be ghosts on the pay list of teachers, right?
Of course, we don't deny that at all. But the magnitude at which we are looking at this issue, we think that it has been over-exaggerated because controller and Smith got the numbers wrong. So we do agree that there might be some ghost names in there because some people might have traveled and their names are still on the register. Some people might have even left the service and their names are still there and so on. But the figures that they are throwing around are not the right figures, actually.
Okay. How do you think we need to rate the system of ghost names? Well, we know that if you look at the nooks and crannies of this country, getting the right people to get the communication right, etc., when somebody passes on and getting it to the center database becomes a difficulty. How do we rate the system of ghost names?
Well, it's difficult, but a number of steps have been taken over the few years, and they have done a lot. For example, now, if you're a teacher, before you get paid, you will have to get validation from your school. That is, the headmaster of your school plus the school's accountant should vouch for you that actually that month you had been in school and you were working, and therefore you deserve to be paid. That is one step. So because of that, every month a lot of some names are deleted from are denied pay because people didn't report to duty and did not work. Apart from that, the step that they are bringing out to also check those names, I don't think it's bad because what they are trying to do is that with the SNP biometric card, every 3 months, what they are proposing is that they would open up centers at various locations and then banks for people to go and slot in their biometric card to validate themselves that they are actually in Ghana, they are alive. And when you do this every 3 months, that means anybody who might have left, anybody who is dead and his name is still on the payroll, within that 3 months, that person will not be able to validate himself. And so the system will automatically take off that name. That is the idea behind the SNP biometric registration that we are doing. It's a good thing, but the manner in which they try to force people and then punish people for not doing it on time, we think it was not right.
What would you say to my guest in the studio, Dr. Hadi Mohammed Abdullah? He's a specialist neurosurgeon. Okay.
Yeah, specialist surgeon.
Okay, specialist surgeon at the neurosurgery unit. But he also happens to be a victim. What would you say to him?
Well, look, I don't know the specific. I didn't listen to him, but what I can say is that it was the teacher union that met government. But eventually, the decision that took place there, it was agreed that it should affect everybody. And so the concession that was given up till the end of up to Tuesday, affected anybody who had not registered. NIT has also accepted that they will continue the biometric registration, and as and when you get them on weekly basis, they will be updating controller. But that does not mean that if that person doesn't for the registration, he will get the salary. Definitely the person must do the biometric registration first. He can think of getting it for his salary. And so I will advise Doc that if he has not done it, he should go and do it. But if he has done it, he should be rest assured that maybe by the end of the 15th, he should get his pay.
Well, he has done it. And thank you very much. Christian Adaipoku, you are the president for NAGRA, the National Association of Graduate Teachers. And we're back in the studio. So you're not alone as a worker, but it also means that we have various worker groups who have been affected by this.
Yeah.
As a medical body, as health workers, who is championing in your cause?
Well, I mean,
because they have a parent association.
Yeah, I've been quite impressed by the proactiveness of NAGRAT. I mean, they
and
saw
NAT
this
and NAT
as well. Yeah, unfortunately, this did not happen at the GMA front. Maybe because we did not envisage this happening. And of course, GMA has been in the bad light for some time now. So sometimes when we even raise this concern, people think that doctors want to go on strike. So I somehow also understand the position of the GMA, but I can speak. There are many people who cannot speak for themselves, and I think that this is where GMA needs to show leadership and come out and speak. I've tried in my small way to pick some of the documents of affected doctors and younger colleagues, and including nurses, and take it to the controller and see how best I can also help, having been in leadership for some time. So there are some acquaintances that can help you. But you asked him best way of solving. I think that the best way of solving these so-called ghost names is to actually decentralize the system. I've always felt that we continue to be a developing nation, and we may never reach that level of development that we expect, because we have a system which is so centralized, so people can decide not to work. You see, it hurts when those who have actually worked are not the ones who are being paid. And I feel that if we decentralize the payment structure, where you are validated,
it makes it easier,
and paid at your institution. So each institution should be able to, they should give
so
that
you're saying
institution.
smaller clusters rather.
Yes.
It's better to verify.
Yes, and with that, the institutions may also be able to come out with innovative ideas how to encourage people to even work. I mean, I've told you, neurosurgery, we could be in theater for a whole day. We have other colleague doctors, okay, who run OPD, do ward rounds like us, and that is it. But you have most surgeons who run OPD, they do ward rounds, and at the same time go to theater and generate a lot of income for the hospital. At the end of it, they designate all of you. Okay, our specialists, you take the same pay, which is wrong. And I felt that these are some of the issues as a nation we need to start discussing. That should we all be paid the same, just because you are called a director, or just because you are called a manager, or just because you've been designated a senior journalist or a junior journalist. Some bring in more money, and it's so in football, and it happens in America. And I think that is the best way to go. And with that, we encourage people to work harder. And the institution may be able to stand on themselves, would win themselves off government.
And so we have on the line the General Secretary for the GMA, the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Justice Youngson. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Are you practicing as a lawyer too?
Well, just a quick one. I'm the Deputy General Secretary.
Oh, sorry. Sorry for reducing your post.
No. You've actually added on to. I have a boss.
And that's a bad thing.
And I have a boss, so I cannot assume.
Okay, Deputy General
but I know
Secretary.
It was just an error. So,
yes, it was an error. Deputy General Secretary, Ghana Medical Association. We've been trying on the sidelines to get officials of the Accountant General Department to speak to. None of them has been able to pick our call so far, but we'll try and keep trying. Has it come to your notice as an association that a large chunk of your membership really have been confronted with this situation, being captured to be ghost things when they are not, actually on the field working?
Well, I think that there's been some, in quotes, miscommunication, and that is beginning to create problems for all of us. I wouldn't say specific to the doctors, I wouldn't say a greater majority are in that situation, but we have doctors who are in that situation. If you go to Kolebu, for instance, people have been affected. If you go to Pampana, so virtually all over the place, there are people being affected. Kolebu, for example, they have actually even come up with a list of those who have been affected. And there are some I know personally. But not that some. I know all of them personally, especially with regard to the doctor. And these are people who are hardworking, who are always around, like my good friend Abdullah is saying in the studio. So it's unfortunate. What I think should have been done is that if you want to go on this tangent, you inform the institutions properly that, look, we are giving you this period, and that if this doesn't happen, maybe this would be the first step. Then there's a second step. Because this whole exercise started as a private activity by an entity called SNEC, not Government of Ghana. They decided to do their biometric registration and all that. So if suddenly you want to transpose that to become a national agenda, I think that it is just fair that you give people the room, the opportunity to amend where there are issues. Because you go to the SNEC office, for instance, in Kolebu, some of my colleagues went there yesterday. There was just one single machine. They have to be there all day. And these are people who are surgeons, like he's talking about, who are physicians, who are obstetricians. And sometimes you need to go back and save a mother who is in labor, stuff like that. So at least, I think that this should have been staggered. And then when the whole exercise is completed, then we can say that, okay, this number are good names. But once you haven't finished with the exercise, and then you come out and say that 26,000 are ghost names, I don't think at that particular point we have reached that level. Because if you look at the communications from the Ministry of Finance, it has even extended or given a moratorium of a sort that the next 2 weeks, those who will be able to go to SNEC and complete their biometric registration, they will be paid somewhere on the 15th. So what that presupposes is that there's still a window for people to try, amend whatever hasn't been done earlier. And then I think that it's only after a period when we have come out with the entire arrangement and we say that enough is enough, it has been concluded. Then whatever number is left, we can declare same as say ghost names in code. So this bit where we declare 26,000, meanwhile these are people who, or majority of them are people who are working, at least as far as my group is concerned, and they still have the opportunity and they are going out there to register. I think it's something that we should look at again the next time. When it comes to doctors, sometimes you go to a facility or a district, there's only one doctor. There might not be even a SNEC office there. Some of these doctors are not even able to move out of their communities because the moment they move for 1 or 2 days, it means literally, God forbid, if you should fall sick or if you come in as an emergency, that is your end. Because you wouldn't be able to get their services. And there are practical constraints. So I think that next time maybe we should look at the way we conduct some of these exercises. And then when we are through, we will actually know who the right group is. Because what baffles our mind as unions or as associations is that the Ministry of Finance through the Controller and Accountant General Department has done countless numbers of headcounts. We've gone through their biometric registration as well and all that. So were they telling us that all that they did in the past, let's say a year or some months back, were ineffective and that the SNEC biometric is the only solution? If that is it, then why did they waste our time to go through all those exercises? I think that if you want to marry the two, let's marry the two properly. Because if somebody has already done the Controller and Accountant General's biometric or will capturing or what have you, and they are in the system, and suddenly, because they haven't done the next one, you say they have to be declared ghost when working. I think we should look at these things again.
So as an association, how are you perhaps fronting for your membership?
What we have done is this. We've had conversations with the powers that be and made it clear to them that, look, as far as we are concerned, our members have been affected unduly and that they should put in the steps for things to be rectified. Beyond that, they have also assured us that, well, it's part of the bigger 2-week window they've opened. So let's look at what can be done within that 2-week period. And then when they are paid, after they've been able to get their biometric registration done, we'll look at whatever the fallout will be. So at this point, we can only encourage our members who have been affected to go in and do their best to register. If you leave, they have to leave the hospitals for 2-3 days. They should be bold and leave, because that is the only solution the employer wants, or the government of the day wants. If you are in theater and you are saving lives and they will declare you ghost, you go home, you can't even feed your kids, you can't feed your wife, you can't feed your mother, then there's no basis. So we urge our colleagues to leave formally, inform whoever your head is, and you're going to do your biometric registration, whatever hours or days or weeks you take. When you finish saying, you come back to work, because that is the only way forward for us now. We don't have any other options, because if you want to follow the details of our work properly, the employer will not see the value in us and will declare us ghosts, simply because we were out there saving lives, we were not able to queue for hours. If, on the other hand, they can also get some of these machines to come to the facilities to mop up. They've already been to Kolebu some months back. That was when Smith was rendering their own exercise. But now that it's become a government policy, especially the bigger facilities and the very deprived ones where you have only one man and all that, if they can also take some of these machines around for people to be captured, I think that will also be fair.
Well, thank you very much. Dr. Justice Yankson is a Deputy General Secretary of the Ghana Medical Association. And my producers have promised me we'll be opening the phone lines for those who have been victims of this, whether you're a teacher or you're a medical person or you work in any other related sector with the government agency affected. Please, you can call the phone lines now. The phone lines will be on your screen, so you can call. How do we bring some finality to the subject? At least per hospital by hospital or per institution by institution? Because I think that my partner has been affected. Because she hasn't received the salary.
Yeah, I mean, well, it may also be due to the bank, but I pray that she's not been affected, though, at least so the family can enjoy. But yeah, like I've said, I think that going forward, what we need to do is to try as much as possible to send this payment to the facility level, where you have your heads of department validating you, okay, and making sure that you are at post. And the controller should be able to fashion out something like that, have such a system. I'm not saying that you should go there and be paid in cash. It will still be banked. But if you will be paid from the facility level, then your head of department knows that you are at work all the time. And if you take Kolebu looks like just a mere hospital, but it's a big institution with several stakes. And I'm sure it's the same for Konfanochi. You have various institutions which fall under several ministries working there. So I think that as much as possible, we should break down governance, decentralize it. That is the best way of sorting this thing out. I mean, I can tell you that there have been people who work with some of these institutions who were involved in inserting the ghost names. A young man was arrested in Kolebu some time ago who was working with HR and was making money from this.
Well, you can call 03022116911 or 2. 03022116911 or 2. And if you have been affected by that is if you have been affected, let us know so that we want to communicate with you, try to see how psychologically you're trying to deal with the related problem. If you work in a related sector too, let's try to see whether we can get you to your parent association to get some insight into the subject. And you have to leave, and yes. I know that this is a concern for you, and you have to, so you'll be going back to work while you try to remedy your situation. Has it been resolved now?
Well, I don't know, because I've still not been paid. I've heard them said that you've been given up to 15th of this month, so will be paid. Else, maybe I have to come to Roland for some for some loan. Yeah, but it's quite. I'm worried because just yesterday I had my bank making certain deductions, and that's my fear.
Okay, I have Nikki on the line. Nicholas, you're calling from Suhum.
Yes.
Are you a teacher?
Hello.
Which sector worker are you? Where do you work?
Yeah, I am a teacher.
And you've been affected?
Yes.
Have you verified yourself biometrically with SNIT?
Yes, I've done that.
Okay, so when did you discover this, and what remedies have you taken to make sure that you rectify this?
Yes, thank you very much. I am one of the newly recruited graduate teachers. Hello?
Yes, please go ahead, sir.
Yes, I'm one of the newly recruited graduate teachers. And as of September 1st, 2016, that was when we were recruited through the examination that was conducted by GS. After the examination, some of us were shortlisted to be posted to the various schools, which we did. And from September up to March, that was when some of us received our first salary. And after receiving the first salary, we received only 1 month salary instead of the accumulated 7 months that we have worked for. And after receiving the 1 month salary, April month, the month of April, the salary did not come again. And I was labeled as a ghost. I was labeled as a ghost. So 2 things are involved. After I was denied of being paid the arrears from September to March, and I was paid only March salary, now I've been labeled as a ghost again. And my salary did not come this month again. So
Nicholas, the way you say it, it's a bit funny. Sorry, I'm laughing though. I know it's not a funny thing for you.
Yes.
But how are you trying to resolve this difficulty you're facing? I know psychologically, if I was you, I wouldn't be feeling right. How are you trying to resolve this?
Yes, so now what I've done is I've sent my biometric card to the controller to be rectified. So that is now what we have done, and I've been told that by 15 I will be paid for only 1 month. So all the arrears, as I speak now, we don't know what will be happening to the arrears from September up to March.
Don't worry, I'm sure your parent association will fight out that for you.
They are doing nothing. The only thing they do is to deduct their dues.
Please relax. It's not for you to also address your grievances with us. Don't worry, we'll resolve. But that's in quote Ghost Nicholas from Suhum. And now we have Ben Mensah. Ben Mensah, you are calling from Sunyani.
Yes, please.
Are you also a ghost?
No, I'm not a ghost.
Okay, right. Have you been declared a ghost on your payroll?
I'm not a ghost, but a friend of mine has been deleted.
Wow. Do you work in the same industry or sector?
Yes, the same industry.
Okay, so you are what?
I'm a teacher.
And he's also a teacher?
Actually, he has his Senate card with him. He showed it to me yesterday.
And he's a ghost?
Then he said paid didn't come. He wasn't paid.
Well, if your pay didn't come...
I'm not a ghost. I got the consular message, but I've not been paid yet.
Masa. Very steady, why? You've not been paid. Anyway, but how are you resolving your difficulties then? How are you trying to make sure that your name is restored onto your pay list?
Actually, I asked him to go to the Senate office. He went there yesterday.
Okay. But you have gotten the message from controller, but you have not been paid.
Yes.
You don't think you also need to take the same steps based on the advice you're giving your friend?
Actually, I got a message from controller that they will pay me, but they have not paid the money, actually. My account has not been credited.
All right. So, thank you very much, Ben Mensah. You're calling from Sunyani, but we have this one from the Volta region, Nkonya. Lawrence Ofori, good morning to you.
Good morning.
Are you a teacher?
Yes, I'm a teacher.
So you've been declared a ghost too?
Yes.
Okay.
Though I've registered, I've done everything biometrically.
How many years standing have you been a teacher?
since 2015.
Okay, so and since then you've been receiving your salary until the current...
When I was quoted, I will not be paying up to, they started paying me last November. And I've not received my arrest, and this April to no salary.
So, do you know whether you've been added to the list of those who are said to be ghost names on the pay list or not?
Yes, since I have not received any message from controller.
No, there's a difference. Have you cited any list? And it's unfortunate I have to ask you this, though.
Yes.
Is your name part of those who are said to be ghosts?
Exactly.
Okay. So what are you doing currently to make sure that your name is restored onto the pay list?
I was told by my head that they said you should wait up to 15 of this month.
Have you gone back to do the verification again with SNIT?
No, I just called my headmaster and he told me that I should wait by 15. They said they will.
Okay. I think I will also advise that you do the verification with SNIT and then you follow up with the accountant general beyond what your headmaster says. Because you may be there the whole of...
I've done that when I was at school.
Sir, that's the problem. People did it, they've not gotten their salary. So please go retrace your steps. Okay? That's the advice for you. Okay? And that's Lawrence Ofori from Nkonya. So you're not alone. Oh, you have a list. Let me see your list.
Oh, this is a...
Okay.
You can see incomplete SNIT numbers. Okay. And like all of them have alluded to, it's very unfortunate. This is an institution and a state institution which has caused all these problems. And I feel that once our government want to get involved, or once you have a head of state who want to claim some achievement or some, including the vice president, I think that, look, they should cross-check their fact very well. It is not good at all, and it doesn't speak well of, excuse me to say, those who manage this information and even give it to our heads of states. These are informations which can go along. I was really hurt when I heard the president I was at post, and I felt really sad. So, but thank you for the opportunity and for highlighting.
And you've also opened the can of worms for a lot more people also to have a lot more say on the subject. Thank you very much. Dr. Hadi Mohammed Abdullah, a specialist surgeon, senior resident with the neurosurgery unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, and has found time of his theatre bed, or no, standing at the theatre, to spend some time with us on the subject of the ghost names, etc.